Hi everyone, I'm Rochelle, and I have two little girls, Anna, who is 2.5, and Chaylee, who is 14 months. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 All Saints inspired Montessori activities that you can do in your Catholic home. So I cannot believe that we are already more than halfway through the month of October. I know when the cold weather hits and the leaves start to fall, I'm quickly reminded that All Saints Day is coming up quickly. And for whatever reason, I'm usually unprepared for it. Well, this year, I made an effort to make the Holy Day of Obligation special for my girls by creating various Montessori activities for the upcoming feast day. And though these activities would work best for toddlers and preschoolers around 2.5 and up, you can certainly get creative and adapt them to your child's specific age group. Now, before we jump in, I did want to add that you won't find these activities very easily online. I actually had a lot of trouble searching for Montessori activities for All Saints Day. And though I found a lot of All Saints Day games that you would do at your church or homeschool group, I could not find a lot of Montessori shelf activities. So that led me to create my own activities for the girls. The good part about these activities is they are mostly free or pretty easy to DIY because I wanted to make them accessible for you. So without further ado, I hope that these activities will inspire you to celebrate All Saints Day in your Catholic Montessori home. Let's jump to it. The first activity is picture-to-picture saint matching cards. And for this activity, you'll need 2 sets of identical saint prayer cards that each contain about 8 to 15 different saints. You could use prayer cards you may already have at home, or even make your own set for free. You'll want to place the 2 sets of cards next to each other on a tray or in a small basket, and then allow your child to line up the first pile of cards either vertically or horizontally in their work area. Once the cards are laid out from the first set, the child will take the cards from the second set and match each saint until he or she has gone through the entire pile. I noticed that as my daughter was matching, she was asking me so many questions about the various attributes of the saints that were displayed on the cards, which just opened up some great discussions for us about the saints. The second activity is Saint Thérèse's flower arranging. Now, this is a common practical life activity in Montessori classrooms, but I added some Catholic flair to it by changing the name. So for this activity, you'll need a small pitcher filled with water, 1 or 2 small vases, a small towel for spills, and an assortment of various pre-cut flowers. You could also use decorative faux flowers if that is what you have on hand. To begin, the child will pour the water from the pitcher into the vases. Then the child may start arranging the flowers until they have used all the flowers on the tray. You'll also see how this activity has a double purpose to it, because after Anna arranged the flowers, she decided to deliver them to baby Jesus and Mama Mary, which was pretty adorable. Who are we making it for?
Baba Willie.
We're making that one for Mama Mary. You know who else likes roses?
You.
Saint Thérèse of Lisieux. The third activity is Saint Halo pin pricking. You'll need something sharp like a push pin or a wood-handled puncher like you see here, and a cork trivet. You will also need a few printouts of this halo, which I have provided for you as a free download in the description box below. The goal for this activity is for the child to poke holes around the entire object in order to either punch out the object altogether or flip over the paper to see the image that they have created with their holes. This activity is a really engaging way for toddlers and preschoolers to develop their fine motor skills, especially as they prepare for writing. The next activity is saint-themed cards and counters. To make this familiar Montessori activity saint-themed, I used these small golden rings as the counters to represent saint halos, but the counters can really be anything you have on hand. For the cards, I created our own sandpaper numbers out of index cards and glitter glue. I drew the numbers with a Sharpie, laminated them, and then went over the numbers with glitter glue to give them some texture. To begin the activity, the child will trace their finger over the number and proceed to add the correct number of counters, in this case halos, on the cards. Anna was getting creative putting her counters on the numbers themselves, and she also decided to do the activity out of order, which is totally fine. You could certainly adapt this activity for older children by simply adding more numbers and halos. Next up is Catholic Objects Stereognostic Bag, otherwise known as the mystery bag. For this activity, you will need to collect various Catholic items you have around your home and a drawstring bag. Before you begin, you will want to ensure your child can correctly name each item in the bag before starting the activity. This is what Montessori would call a 3-period lesson. If you've never heard of this before and would like to learn more, I went ahead and attached an article explaining how to correctly present a 3-period lesson. So once your child can identify each object, put the objects back into the bag and have your child put their hand in the bag while closing their eyes or using a blindfold to feel around for an object. For each item in the bag, have the child describe what they are feeling and have them guess the object that they are holding. Your child may prematurely look at the objects before naming them, which is exactly what our little girl did, but in time the child will learn to name the object before looking at it. This activity was a creative way to let my daughter really explore these common Catholic objects that you see around the house, and she couldn't wait to try on the scapular. The next activity is St. Francis's bird counting. After reading a story about St. Francis, I went ahead and put together this counting activity for Anna. You will need a laminated picture of a tree, and I will make sure to link the free download that I used here. Numbers for counting and bird figurines. These are the Safari Ltd backyard birds that you're seeing here. To begin the activity, you will have your child choose a number and gather the correct number of birds to place on the tree. I went ahead and counted out loud with my daughter as she was placing each bird on the tree. And this activity proved to be a favorite for Anna, and she wanted to do it over and over again. Next is our favorite saint picture books. We love reading books around here, so I had to include some of our absolute favorite saint books that we read over and over again. Not only is reading an indispensable developmental skill for children, but it also bridges the way to have important faith-based discussions with your kids. You'll see as we are reading Lily Lolek, Anna keeps pointing to the characters in the book, and we are having discussion after discussion about what she's seeing. Next up is Practical Life Corn Kernel Transferring. For this activity, you will need 2 small bowls, a scooper, and corn kernels for a fall theme. Have your child begin scooping the kernels from one bowl to the next, going left to right, until they have all been transferred. Now I'm including this activity because it provides practice in silence, concentration, and focus. You'll find practical life activities in Catechesis of the Good Shepherd atriums because they aid in the development of the child's spiritual life. So though this is not directly an All Saints activity, it is certainly a bridge to developing a child's spiritual life through mental focus and concentration. The next activity is saint-themed song cards. And for this activity, I went ahead and created a couple of saint song cards by changing the words to some familiar nursery rhymes. I also included This Little Light of Mine as one of the songs in the download, which is a favorite around here. I will include a free download to these songs in the description box if you're interested. We had a wonderful time starting each morning with singing and playing our instruments. If you have a younger toddler or infant, this would be a perfect activity to do together. Holy men and women, holy men and women, pray for us. Show your prayer hands. Pray for us. Mama Mary, hear our prayers. Bring them all to Jesus. Pray for us. Pray for us. Yeah. And the last activity is Saint Isadore's pumpkin washing and painting. Now the name for this one is probably a bit of a stretch, but Isadore is the patron saint of farmers, so you'll often find games named after him when it comes to pumpkins and produce in general. So we'll just go with it to keep our saint theme. For washing the pumpkins, you'll need a pumpkin, a bucket of soapy water, a few sponges, and several small towels for drying. The girls both love cleaning everything, so this practical life activity was a fun way to wash those dirty pumpkins after bringing them home from the pumpkin patch. After letting them dry, set up some washable paints on a paper plate, one paintbrush, and allow your child to decorate their pumpkin. And as it gets closer to All Saints' Day, we will carve her pumpkin together. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, where I integrate the Montessori approach with our Catholic faith at home. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time. God bless.